whatever we will call taka. Whatever is called taka, there'll be an issa deraisa, binyan mikalim. Then there's going to be something called hiddik. Hiddik is tight, but not super tight, whatever that means. We would have thought, at least I would have thought, what's the example of super tight? I could have thought that super tight is when you screw something in. That's super tight, but then we saw that's not even true because that itself will be a machlekes. So tight just means wedge tight, like the example the Shulchan Aruch brings in Siman Shin Yud Gimel later on in Sif Tes. Yesterday we had Sif Vav. In Sif Tes it says Atakeya eitz be'eitz. This is the Rambam. You take a piece of wood and you stup it hard, you knock it, you bang it with a hammer, which is really what a hammer is, right? It's a piece of metal and it's mamish verstupt in ganzen, the gamre stuck together. Bain if you do it with a masmer. If you take a nail, sometimes you take a nail and you take the two pieces of wood and you put them together, you do a nail. Bain if you do it a nail, bain jetaka be'etz atzmai, or whether you wedge it in, Hareza told us baina, das is baina. Obviously not like Rashi, no? Rabbi Schwab is not like Rashi. Rashi said makabeh patish. You can never have baina when it comes to kalim. So vice versa, this is not like Rashi, but akapanim. You see, like I told you, if you do things very tight, taka, that's going to be baina deraisa. Das is taka. Haduk is when it's not very tight, it's when it's tight. I don't know what that means yet, but that's what we're seeing. And then we have something called Rafi, and there is a case of Rafi, which is mutter. That was the three levels. Then the Mishnah Berurah already brought us into two very big yesaitis. One is he told us that what is the definition of what's the definition, not before that actually, the Shartzian. First he told us what is a screw. A very important Shartzian. In my opinion, this is maybe one of the most important Shartzians in the Siman. Shartzian over here, he says in the Leiv of the Siman, when he writes this, he writes, Hainu afilu lahadke b'rafi, hine, from the Lashon of the Mogen Avram, which I'll explain where the diak is soon. Yahadik b'chayzik al yides roif, if you screw something in, he was talking yesterday about, we spoke about a leichter, you can speak about, they have cups, that, the top and the bottom, you screw in the top to the bottom, and it stays like that. What other things like that we have that screwed in? You can think, anybody? What other things? That stays screwed in, I'm saying. What else? Anything you can think of? What? Sorry? That screws in? Or? Handle sometimes, yeah. Okay. What? Well, the crackpot, that thing. That's what you mean. That thing on the, the handle on like the glass crackpot, right? That's a strife. What else? What? Come again? It's screwed on. That's a example of this. What else? What? A cane screws on? You screw on a cane, really? Okay, so there you go. So I see that, the reason I do that sometimes, I say, what examples you have? Because you have to, when you go home tonight, you have to talk to your wife and get examples and you have to bring them tomorrow. Don't think you potter with just Lego. Just a potter with Lego. You have to, you bring in some examples tomorrow of these things so that we'll be able to discuss them. But Akapanim, it says over here, you should tell your wife, that what does she have to be worried about? Because some people say, they're nervous. What does she have to be worried about? You saw from the Gemara of Chisda yesterday that I brought the Gemara, Makis Tafyud, that the Gemara says that Rav Chisda, he would learn Torah and the Malach HaMavis couldn't get him. So the Kasha, the Chafetz Chaim asked the Kasha. I said yesterday, Bekitzer, I'll just say it now, just again Bekitzer, but just you should hear it. The Chafetz Chaim asked the Kasha. Rav Chisda wasn't going to the bathroom, and he didn't eat, and he didn't drink. It doesn't say that. David HaMelech, it says, didn't do anything but learn, because he knew his days were numbered, but Rav Chisda didn't know. Rav Chisda had no idea that he was going to die. So, but it says that the Malach HaMavis couldn't get him because all he did was learn. But the Malach HaMavis was trying for a while. Why couldn't he get him? He didn't eat, he didn't sleep, he didn't drink. So you see from over here, Pashit, that anything that's called the Ta'elis of the Torah, that means that Rav Chisda didn't Mesiach Das from Torah. Everything he was doing was the Ta'elis of Torah. So the Malach HaMavis had no shlita, none at all. So you tell your wife, what's in the game? I'm sitting about yourself, right? I'm sitting and learning the base measures. And if I know that you're nervous, how am I going to be able to learn? I won't be able to learn if I know that you're nervous. What's in the game? The whole time I think about you and I worry about you, and I won't be able to learn. But if I know that you besimcha and you're saying maybe Tehillim for me, or you're just on bichlal, just being b'teich and Hashem the whole time, and you're happy that I'm learning Torah and I'm calm, so then I could learn. That means you not being nervous is like a timtzah for me to be able to learn. Side by side, then you're also safe. Bar, first in the Gemara, because anything that's Ta'elis of the Torah is going to be safe. So then that's for sure. That for sure is going to be good. But what do you do now? She says, "Yeah, but I'm still nervous." Right? She tell her no, but maybe even if you don't, work on yourself, and you can tell not to tell you. If she doesn't tell you, then maybe, I don't know. Tell her not to be nervous. Tell her not to be nervous. You're learning Torah. What's to be nervous about? What's the negeh? Akapanim. But then you change the subject so she won't be nervous. Then you talk about what things that we have that screw in and whatever and all the Sachen. So Tachlis, the Mishnah Berurah over here in the Shar Tzion brings down that things that screw in, the Magen Avram says that might be an Issa Deraisa, which is what I would have thought. That's Takei Mamish. Then he brings the Taz, and I'll explain to you what Taz he's referring to in a moment. But then he brings the Taz, that the Taz talks about stroif, this screw-on cap or whatever, screw-on thing, and he sounds like the most it would be is a D'Rabbanan. Okay, so that's a big line. We have to come back to that. What exactly is this machlekes if something that's screwed on is going to be? I'll give you an example. I just wonder out loud, and I think I'm right. If you take a nail and a drill and you screw it in two pieces of wood together, I don't believe for half a minute in the world that's this machlekes Magen Avram and the Taz. There's a half a minute in the world. That's a vada no shaila. Everyone agrees that's deraisa. There's no half a mean in the world. I don't believe in that there'll be a tzad in the world that such a thing is not going to be deraisa. You take a drill and you screw it in. Forget the drill being chashmal, whatever. It's not. You take a screwdriver and you screw it in very, very, very tight, and it's very hard to get out and whatever. I don't have half a mean in the world. That's not what they're talking about here. It's not what they're talking about here. They're talking about things that screw together. What's the difference? Maybe that's my contract is mechayiv me to explain. But they're not talking about taking screwdrivers and drills and screwing in. Of course, that's by the deraisa. That's about what that's less. That's less than if I take a hammer and I smack it into, one piece of wood into another piece of wood. Both cases, I can get it out. Rabbi said, when you take a nail and you smack it into two pieces of wood, could you get out that nail? Of course you can get it out. You take the back of the hammer and you pull it out. What's easier to take out, that nail or the screw? I don't know. Probably the nail. You just go like this, you wedge it, you go like this, and you take it out. I'm saying a screw, you got to mamish work and whatever. That's not what they're talking about here. I know it sounds like a chiddush. That's why you need me to come. It's pashut. There's not even a shayla. The only question is when we have things that screw together. Like I gave examples just now, like the case of the life, they're screws together, or something like we'll see soon the examples, but a broom was a good example, and whatever. So those types of things, that's the shayla of a sroif, which is a big shayla. I think it's one of the most integral parts of the sugya over here, which is either deraisa dika hidik tikia, or it's a drabanan dika tikia. It's a hidik, whatever. That's the one thing the Shar Tzion was megal to us. And the last thing over here, what we saw yesterday is this new thing in the Mishnah Berurah, that it's not enough that he answered roughly. He also now answers based on the Ramah. He also answers a roughly, which is the derech to be tekeya. That's one thing the Mishnah Berurah adds. Let's say you have a roughly, you're putting it in roughly, but it's the derech for it to be tekeya. Normal people don't leave the bed when it's a loose connection, whatever loose connection means. But normal people don't leave the bed like that. Normal people don't leave the broom like that. So then you're not going to be allowed, says the Mishnah Berurah, based on the Ramah, to put it in roughly, because you might come to be tekeya. You're not even allowed to put it in roughly, because you'll come to be tekeya. That Mishnah Berurah is in Siv Katan Mem Hey. It's really the Ramah, but the Mishnah Berurah speaks it out clear in Siv Katan Mem Hey and Siv Katan Nen Aleph. It's mefresh. Vafilu lasles roughly. Gzeira Shema Yitaka. You might come. So that's a chumrah number one in the Rebbe. Chumrah number one in the Rebbe is he didn't suffice with the two gedarim, hidik and tekeya. He added now, there's a roughly that's also, a roughly it's a derech to be tekeya. And chumrah number two in the Mishnah Berurah is that the Mishnah Berurah comes along. I say chumrah number two because we'll see in a moment, not everybody agrees to this. But chumrah number two is that the Mishnah Berurah says that if you have a roughly vein, a roughly Mishnah Berurah Sivkat Mem Gimel, something that's like, it's tight, but it's not really tight. It's a bit loose, but it's not loose. It's in the middle. That's also aser. That's also everything is aser. That means that super tight is the deraisa, tight is the drabanan. Sort of tight is also the drabanan. And loose, whatever loose means. I said loose yesterday. I explained loose might not be that it's floating around and coming out. Maybe loose means that the chibur between the two parts is loose. There's nothing bad and connect. Okay, these things we have to see. That's adkan what we spoke about yesterday. That's that. Now comes again the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish had a whole new approach here. Now, I know I didn't really explain yet hidik and tekeya and all these things. It's also because I don't really understand it myself. So, it's hard to explain things you don't understand. But let's first go to the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish comes with like a whole new world over here. They go one by one. One by one, the Chazon Ish argues on everything here. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. There's like a different world. There's the world of the Chazon Ish in Baina, and there's the world of everybody else. It's unbelievable. You saw already when it came to Karka, the Chazon Ish has a different world. A whole different world. The Chazon Ish looks at a flapping drape. A Chazon Ish looks at a paroiches or yana what's it called? Yana bath. The shower curtain? That okay. The pole we said that could be a problem, right? But the curtain itself, the Chazon Ish says you put that up on Shabbos, you chayiv misa. It's a whole different baina when it came to baina bekarka. And Ad Kedei Kach, there's a chreinim that they have a tzad. You find it hard to believe, but they have a tzad that watch, that clock, and that picture to take on and off and put it onto the wall. That the Chazon Ish would ask that also. It's also baina bekarka. Chumras gedolos, neged the Magen Avram, neged the Paiskim, Peladik Meisa. In baina bekelim, it's pum fakir punkt. The Chazon Ish says Kallus gedolos, a whole different world. God's a different world. Right? I explained to you why, Rabbi said, how could this happen? How could this happen? You should cringe from fear. How could this happen? He's fighting on, because Boina is a malacha that everything is based on hagdara and a syachsis and how you misyaches to it. Do we see a oneness or something? That's why you can have such incredible machlekes and extreme machlekes and all the Shabbos. You don't find things like this. That they're arguing on such extremities. It's unbelievable. And the Chazon Ish is saying, maybe if you take that picture and take it on and off the wall, you chayiv misa. And the Mishmur holds mutter gomer, no question in the world. No shayla, not even a shayla. It doesn't even bring it as a shayla. He's not even talking mitzadat. His only needin was lakape some other shayla of oil or who knows what. It's a peladik ma'isa, right? By Baina, it's the same thing. What's it by Baina? By Caleb. So first and foremost, like right away, the Chazon Ish knocks out. It's a little bit sigidik. The part said it again. The sigay I will say, I won't say, but he first of all knocks out Rafui. He says Rafui is mutter. The end. Rafui is mutter. There's no gzeira Rafui yatu hidik. He's metamid from the Makari. Where do you get a gzeira that they made an issur of a Rafui atu? The way he learns the sugya. Okay, I can't go out of safe into it now, but he says there's no such thing as a gzeira of Rafui atu tekiya. No such thing. Chazal mattered Rafui. He says, look in the Shulchan Aruch. Mita shel prakim asal achzira v'mtaka chayv chates imhu Rafui mutter lechatchila kol tuv. That's it. So that's number one. He doesn't accept the gzeira of Rafui, which is like, game changer. That means anything roughly for sure is mutter. Okay. What? He's basically going against the Ramah, because the Ramah says, Vimhi darka liyos. Now, I don't know. I'm going to say something now, and, don't listen to what I'm saying. Don't listen to what I'm saying. But the Ramah over here doesn't say Hagah. And later in the Ramah, it says Hagah. So there's a whole question always, who exactly is this when it doesn't say Hagah? You understand what I'm being ramiz? So the Chazon Ish doesn't know. No, you can't argue on a Ramah. The Chazon Ish is not going to argue on a Ramah, even though God, he does sometimes, doesn't seem to scare the Chazon Ish. But it's not nice to have to argue on a Ramah if you don't have to. Who says this is the Ramah? Does it say Hagah? What? Yeah, the Beis Yosef says it also, So the Chazon Ish says, yeah, but in his wonderful sefer called Shulchan Aruch, he doesn't bring it, says the Chazon Ish in Siman Nun and Sif Yud and Tes and all those. He says, so why didn't he bring it over here? He was chayzer by. That's what he says. He said the Chazon Ish says that the Beis Yosef was chayzer by. That's what he says. He says he looks in the sefer Shulchan Aruch and he doesn't find it. So what's this additional parentheses over here? So maybe the printer, maybe it was the printer. Right? Who knows? Maybe it's the printer. These things happen. Somebody said I wrote an article in a certain magazine this week. Like I didn't write it. I said some certain things and the printer added whatever they wanted over there. Okay. So, a bit controversial, but true. So what should I tell you? So that's what happens. That's how it goes. That's Ketas, right? So in the FJJ I did, right? The FJJ I did, and in the Tribune I did. The other magazine nished. Okay. You can use your imagination or whatever. Okay, but I don't want to get involved. We're all one big happy mishpach over here, and I'm not. Let me get invited. All right. It's the reason why you guys love me so much, right? Well, Magen Avram. Oh, but the Magen Avram is not like this. Shah, where's my thing? Good. Magen Avram in the Mishnah Berurah. I'm not like this. The Chazon Ish doesn't have a problem arguing on the Magen Avram and the Mishnah Berurah. It's the Ramah, that's not Geshmak. He was like the Rav in Krakow and everything like that. Okay, and he died on like Boimer. Hey, look at Ramah. Okay, Akapanim. So the Chazon Ish first of all says, Rafui, game over. There is no, remember this for the rest of your life. According to the Ramah, there's nothing to Cheshbin and Claire when it comes to Rafui. Nothing, number one. Sorry? The Chazon Ish. What? I'm sorry, according to the Chazon Ish. Thank you very much. According to the Chazon Ish, according to the Rama, there's certainly what to worry about. Any roughly, which is derech to be let me just explain. In the world of the Chazon Ish, life is going to be very simple here. Roughly's out. Anything roughly mutter, number one. Number two, comes again the Chazon Ish. That was in Siman Nun Sif Yud. These two Chazon Ishes are Nun Tes and in Nun Sif Yud. Derech Agav, these are the Chazon Ishes when it comes to Chashmal. In a minute we'll explain this, but hopefully today. Let's see. Then comes along the next part of the sugya, which another machlekes, which I didn't even tell you yet. There's another chumrah of the Mishnah Berurah, another potential chumrah. The Maram, what's the Maram going to do in jail? What's the Maram going to do in jail? How's he going to wash his hands and how is he going to drink? And all, he has to have, what's he going to do in jail? So the Maram talks about this koshel prakim. He had some dismantleable cup or something like that. It wasn't the one with the srife, because that's a whole different shaila. He had some cup. Is it like those fruit cocktail cups that we have and things like that? It's probably, it was a little bit stronger, it seems. A little bit stronger, it seems. I'm not sure 100%, but much stronger. And the Maran talks about this cup. Are you allowed to put it together on Shabbos? Now, Derech Agav, Maimer HaMozgar. Everything we're talking about is not the first time. That reminds us of what we spoke about 6 months ago, right? When we did Makeh B'Patish. We did Tikkun and Shin Yud Zayin. So over there, if you remember, that we spoke about any time you're putting something together for the first time, even though afterward there might be only dismantling and reassembly, which could potentially be mutter, but the first time when you do something, that's a makeh patish. So, for example, if you have the case of the Paiskim is a shoelace, right? You take a shoelace, you put it in a second time, third time. There's no boina. That's the roughly connection. There's no connection. That's a real connection. But the first time you put a lace into a shoe, and even if the lace was in a different shoe, but it's the first time there's a shidduch between this lace and the shoe, that's chayiv misa. That's a tikkun mana. That's a makeh b'patish. So too, a lot of places can say, who then you have these cups. We spoke about this. You have the cups, these cocktail cups. So they have 50 of the cup parts and 50 bases, and you put them together. Right? So I know one person, he was doing something on Erev Shabbos. What he did was he put them all together, right? I told you this then, or no? He put all 50, I told him like that. He put all 50 together and then he took them apart. So I'll be able to put them back together. Humpty Dumpty, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's a mattress. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he doesn't know this one, if it went to that one. So now this leg, so this Keven Medid body, right? When an shidduch over here, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. What? Come again? Wait, no. Again, our sugya is even after the first time, if something is so tight, that could be boina. Our sugya is not the first time. You might have something which is roughly, like a cocktail cup is probably not such a strong connection or whatever, but whatever it is, on the first time you'll have an Isser Makeh B'Patish. So once it was together, I could take it apart and put it back together, because first of all, there's no opposite of Makeh B'Patish, so I could take it apart, okay, but to put it back together, no, that's already, it was once together, so it's not Makeh B'Patish. Now we look at it as a reassembly of a kli that was previously made. So what do you have to dan when you're danning reassembly? You have to always dan, am I being over on boina? That's what you have to dan. How do I know if I'm being over on boina? So I need to know, is it tight? I need to know, is it hiddik? I need to know, is it roughly up to hiddik and blah, blah, blah. That's that, my Muslim. That's very important part there. So the Maran was talking about a cup that was once put together the first time. It's not the first time. Okay, but now he wanted to put it together. And this cup was kanira some level of tightness. This is part of the big fight over here. So the Maran says, you should know this koshel prakim, I think, is a problem. That's what the Maran Rottenberg said. The Maran Rottenberg is actually the Maran Berg also. And sometimes in the Chuvas, they call him Maran Berg. It's not interesting to know. But anyways, the Torah, on that line, the Torah says, he says, no, nearly it's mutter. He says these words, because it's not mahudik so much. Those are the words in the Torah. He says, I don't agree with the Maran Rottenberg because it's not mahudik so much. That's what he says. What's the fight? What's this machlekes? What's the machlekes? The Torah says that it's mutter because it's not mahudik so much, right? And the Maram says, no, it's usher because he doesn't say why, but he just says it's a problem putting it together. So comes again the Mishnah Berurah, and he brings this over here. The truth is, it's somewhat brought over here in the Shulchan Aruch. He says, koshel prakim, that's the kosh they're talking about. Koshel prakim, this kosh of the Maram, which appealed to Gemaisa, the Shulchan Aruch assumes that, I guess it was the same kosh they had from the time the Maram Rottenberg, which was 300 years before that, 250 years before. But however, by them it was the same kosh. And by us, we don't even know what they're talking about. So we have to, and the Chofetz Chaim had the same cup. Nothing seems to have changed. Peldik Maisa, for thousands of years, it was always the same type of zachin. Kois shel prakim, mutar lefarkoi, you're allowed to take it apart. Ulachzir b'Shabbos, right? Obviously not the first time, because that'd be Magid Bandish. But afterward, dismantling it is mutar. Then he says, the Yesh Mishoimer, who's Yesh Mishoimer? The Torah, that it's mutar. Yesh Mishoimer, Chadin Kois Kedin Amita. Excuse me, that it's Aser. The Maramberg. Sorry. The first sheet is the sheet of the Torah. The Yesh Mishoimer is a sheet of the Maram. Shadin Kois Kedin Amita, that it's Aser. The din is Aser. And then he writes like this. The Ramah says, Vim Darka Liyois Mahodik. If the derech is to be tight, then Afagav the Akshav Rafui Aser. No shaila. Im darka liyois hadik, afagav da'akshav rafoi aser. What's this? Says the Mishnah Berurah, based on this Ramah, says, I'll tell you what was the machlekes, division, the Maram and the Torah. The machlekes is that everyone agrees mehudik is aser. Mehudik, of course, is aser. If you base something tight, that's aser. Okay, so what's this fight over here? The Torah is saying that it's not tight. Is it tight? Is it not? So he says, you know what it was? It was a roughly. That was the derech to make it tight. You take this cup, and they made it roughly. The Maram Rottenberg, he made it roughly. And he said, yeah, but it's the derech to make it tight. So they asked even that. You hear this, Maisa? You hear this? If you have a roughly, that's a derech to be tekua. So we saw that's aser. Okay. So now comes along Maram Rottenberg, he says, I don't want you making this cup. You know why? Because it's a roughly, that's a derech. This is like exera. Even if I make it tight, it's only d'Rabbanan. It's not super tight. No, but if you do it roughly, you might come to make it hiddik, and that is what the Maram said is aser. Okay? What's the psak on that shaila? What's the psak? So on this shaila, the Shulchan Aruch seems to be mekel, because he brings down a stam to be mekel, and then a yesh shomrim. So stam yesh shomrim means he holds really that roughly al das to be hiddik is mutter. We'll see it soon. This is the biggest cases are these cases, something that you do roughly, but it's a derech to be hiddik and whatever. And then, but the Ramah seems to say not like that. So what's the psak halacha? So here the Mishnah Berurah in Sivkatin Memvav, Mishnah says, so what should you do? Lechatchila be machmir. Tzarech Shabbos, you could be mekel. Anuchum, Rabbi say. We have tekiya, chaymisa. We have hiddik, isagomer. We have roughly at the tekiya. So that the Mishnah Berurah answered and the Chazon Ish mattered. Okay, now we have roughly ve'enoi roughly. Remember that? Mishnah Berurah said that's also too. Now you have roughly, that's the derech to be hiddik. So what does the Chofetz Chaim say? That also not kedai to be mekel. L'chatchila be machmir. Now, could the Chazon Ish learn that that's the machlekes? The Chazon Ish holds that roughly atu hiddik. Just a moment. The Chazon Ish holds that roughly atu hiddik, atu takua is mutter. So could there be a question about roughly atu hiddik? That's what the Chazon Ish says. He says it can't be. There's no question. I hold roughly even atu tekei mutter. So he says, so roughly atu hiddik is also mutter. For sure it's mutter. Roughly atu everything is mutter. Every roughly is mutter. So what's the machlekes of the Maram? You're not going to believe this. So then what's the machlekes of the Maram in the Torah? So it comes again the Chazon Ish. He says, okay, so I'll tell you pshat the machlekes. You know what the machlekes is? The machlekes is, did we aser hiddik? Listen to us on Maisa. Did we aser hiddik when it's not the derech to be tokeya? Pum fakir, pum. Let's say you have something that is hiddik, but it's not the derech to be tokeya. It's a derech to be hiddik. So he says, that's what's going on here. The Maram says, if you have a hiddik, and it's the derech to be tokeya, like this cup is the derech to be tokeya. So then we're going to aser the hiddik, because the hiddik is aser because you're going to come to do tokeya. But the Torah comes along and says, no. He doesn't agree with the Metzias. He says, this cup of, no, I'm sorry, maybe I said it the wrong way. Yeah, I said it the wrong way. He says, the Maram is talking about a hiddik, which is not the derech to be tekeya, excuse me. He's talking about that this is a cup, which is not the derech to be tekeya. They wouldn't make it tight. Says the Maram, I still think that's aser. If you have a hiddik, that itself is a reason to aser, even if it's not the derech to be tekeya. Comes again, the Chazon Ish, he says, you know what the Torah holds? The Torah holds hiddik is only aser if it's a derech to be tekeya. Did you know what just happened over? The whole world just turned upside down. Do you have any idea what just happened over here? The Chazon Ish just said that hiddik itself is hiddik aser. If you have something tight, according to the Chazon Ish, Lego does not start. There's no shaila. According to the Chazon Ish, there's no shaila at all. Because Hiddik, says the Chazayin Ish, is a machlekes Torah in the Maram, and then he goes on and he paskins like the Torah. You hear this, mice? Unbelievable. Again, if you have Hiddik, which is the derech to be Tokeya, Hiddik, that everyone agrees is Aser. Hiddik, there's a Gemara that says Hiddik is Aser. So the Hiddik derech to be Tokeya, that's the case, that's for sure Aser. Now there's a machlekes. Let's say I have Hiddik, which is not the derech to be Tokeya. It's not the derech to make it so tight. That's a machlekes, says the Chazayin Ish, between the Maram and the Torah. That was the cup. That cup was a cup that was not the derech to be Tekeya. The Maram on that says, well, so then it's Aser, because Hiddik alone is Aser. And on that, the Torah is Mekel. The Torah holds, if it's a Hiddik that's not the derech to be Tekeya, so then it's going to be Mutter. And then the Chazayin Ish goes on to be Mekel. You hear what's going on here? Hiddik, Ata Tekeya, everyone agrees is Aser. Hiddik, that will be derech to be Tekeya, everyone agrees is Aser. Nobody can argue on that. That's at least a Gemara. But that's how he learns what's the case of Hiddik. The Chazayin Ish learns. But if you have a Hiddik, which is only going to be a Hiddik, what's an example? Rabbi say, most of the things we're going to deal with are Hiddiks that are not the derech to be Tekeya. Right? Lego, right away, Lego, okay? Lego. This is, let's say, here. This is definitely tight. It's definitely tight. It's not roughly. It's definitely tight. No question it's tight. And you have to have schosavis, right? Okay, I know the trick. So this one is easy to do because you can just fold it like that. Get it out, right? You think he's just a Rosh Koilel. Give me a hard one. Chamshi, you didn't cheap out on us, right? You brought here we go. Here, this is very hard. Here. I hope your wife's not upset. I broke what she made here. Here. This is one that's equal, right? 4 and 4. Okay. You see that? You try getting this off. Yeah? If even Schusafis, you're going to have to come on to Yosef Atzadik for this one, right? So this is very tight. Without the nail, right? No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't think the Chazayin Ish could do it. Okay, so what? That's okay. It's made. Everything is like that in life, right? Get a grip. What? What does it be? What do you have? What's the piece? This is fresh from bar part. How do you do this? What do I do now? Like this? Okay, it's still not. No. What? I think it works very nice in the Torah. The Lashon, wait, the Maram said like this. The Maram says, I think it's Aser. The Torah says, Nira it's Motor. What's Lashon? Ein derech lahadkoi kol kach. That's how the Chazayin Ish is learning. No, that's he's learning. He's learning Ein derech lahadkoi kol kach. That's how the Chazayin Ish learns. Us? No matter what, and the Mishmur is also schwer. We'll talk after I stay around there. But the Chazayin Ish, the Mishmur is also schwer. How are you doing? You can't do it, huh? And also, and Rabbi say, I could say, because I don't want to embarrass you, I could say, or no, Chanshi's like the strongest guy in the world. He picked up yesterday the people hole, the androgynous hole. He tarot nemen the ganze androgynous hole over there, yeah? To present the ganze loch, yeah? You know how strong he is, you didn't know. Huh? Unbelievable. He can't do it. This might be Tekeya. If Chamshi can't do it, this is Tekeya, no? I get the really strong guys here. No, Abi, take it. Give it to Abi. No, you can't do it, no? You just don't want to show off or no? Yassi. Give him Yassi. It's okay. No one saw you, Jewel. Give him Yassi. Give him. Totally, you got it? What? No, nails. 5 yards. What is it? 5 yards. Okay. That one might be Tekeya. No, that's very serious. No, you see what we're dealing with over here? No, see, this is no joke. This is very serious, right? That might be Tekeya, right? Mr. Rogers is those nice, yeah, but this one, this is very easy. This comes like right off. I don't know what to tell you. No, it's very tight. Rabbi Gates said, I have the strongest guys in the second set of Kallus trying to do this and they're not being successful. So they call it pickle juice. And at the end of the day, you can't get it apart. You can't get it apart. That's Tekeya. Bus?
Not because it's strongly connected. It's just because it's got grease on it. So you can't see it.
One second, you want to call it Rafi the Fida? You want to call it Rafi the Fida? Really? Because I call it Rafi even. Right, even Rafi. Really? It's the same as this. This? The same as this? This you can take off like that, right? It doesn't even stay.
That's also.
Wait. We're having too much fun. One second. What? You got it? Use nails, huh? Yeah, nails. Okay. Listen. Wait. Slowly. Rabbi said. Slowly. That. Rabbi said. So again, now let's try one more time. So comes again the Chazai Nish, and he says, if the stum of the Shulchan Aruch is to be makel on the Shaila of Koshel Prakim, which is very interesting, because to believe that the Shulchan Aruch meant this pshat of the Chazai Nish, it's very interesting. But anyways, you hear what just happened here? So by saying, according to the Chafetz Chaim, let's see how many Isurim we have here. Ready? Let's go one by one. Is Rafa Yasser? Yeah, plenty of times. Rafa is Asr if it's Atu Tekeya. Rafa is Lichatchila Asr if it's Atu Hidik. Okay, let's go weiter. Is anything Asr after Rafi? Yeah. Rafi ve'enoi Rafi is Asr. Okay, afterward, Hidik is Asr. Hidik is Asr, Bain if it's Atu Tekeya, Bain if it's by itself. Hidik is always Asr. And then finally you get to Tekeya and you have Chayiv Misa. How many Surim? You have like 60 Surim over here, no? 6 or 7, I don't even know, right? According to the Chazon Ish, what's Asr? 2 things and that's it. Tekeya is Chayiv Misa and Hidik Atu. A Hidik itself is not Asr. According to the Chazon Ish. Is the Chazon Ish a Mekel and Baina the biggest? Hidik is not Aser. Hidik is Mutter. Rabbi say Hidik is Mutter. According to the Chazon Ish. Hidik is Mutter. The only thing Aser is a Hidik that maybe will come to be Tekeya. That's like the most that we could do. That's the most. I can't. Unbelievable. No. I saw a lot of kitzes farm that weird things over here. They bring down the Chazon Ish in a weird way. Go look at the Chazon Ish inside and see Tess and see Yod. And that's what the Chazon Ish is saying. The Chazon Ish has 2 sugis and nothing else. Tekeya is Aser and Hidik atu Tekeya is Aser and everything else is Mutter. Rafi is Mutter. Hidik is Mutter. Hakol Mutter. Everything. It's Rafi Veina. Rafi's Mutter. Everything is Mutter. Buzz? It's a kasha, but that's how he learned the Beis Yosef. And I'll talk about it inside. Also, just it's an interesting thing here. This is clearly the Ramah, this one, right? Because here it says Vim Darkoi, right? So, but the other one maybe wasn't the Ramah. Now you understand the answer? Okay, maybe. Okay. Maybe, but I don't want to get personal. Okay, so now like this. All right, let's start. I think we have everything here. Yeah, we have everything here. Okay, so Mohudik, and it's not the derech to be Tekeh at all. That's Mishabur Sivkat Mem Gimel, that's the Ramah. The Chazon Ish is Mekel. Rafa Yato Hidik. Mishabur says you have to be Machmer, and then, okay, let's start. Okay, like this. Let's go one by one. I have a bunch of cases here I want to get through. Now you have the klal and we're all equal. Now we're just going to down the cases, okay? So now, first of all, you learned today 2 very important things. You learned in general in the last 2 days something very important thing. When we say the words Ein Binyan B'Kalim, now you understand, you appreciate the first 10 shiurim that we learned over here when we spoke about Binyan, where we say Ein Binyan B'Kalim, when we say Ein Klape Karka, we would say yes Binyan B'Karka. What was the discussion? In other words, the words Ein Binyan B'Kalim mean what? Now you learned today, Ein Binyan B'Kalim mean, let's say in the Chazon Ish even, or it doesn't matter, in the Chafetz Chaim. Ein Binyan B'Kalim means a chibur, which is not Tekeya. Everything else is either mutter or drabanan. So non-strong chiburim, that's what it means. Ein Binyan B'Kalim means that it's not enough to have a non-strong chibur. Is that clear? Just done. It's very important. The flip side of that is by karka, we say yes binyan. This is the Pri Megadim speaks this out, but this is the explanation of the mafrei of what went on in all of those shiurim and everything that we learned the last 2 weeks. Ein binyan b'kalim says that when you have a weak chibur, that's not called a binyan. That's not called a chibur. Yesh binyan b'karka says that even a weak chibur can be considered. That's very important. That's what's the nafkamina of that state. I mean, let's say, for example, let's go one by one to cases that I'll be again. Let's say the door handle on a bathroom that falls off. Why is it always on the bathroom that it falls off? I don't know. But that's what it is, right? I guess that's what trying to get in or whatever. So somehow it always comes off. I don't know. What? No, I don't need explanation on this one. It's okay. So the door handle on the bathroom or in the Bachar Dira, always the door handle on the Bachar Dira, you know. What? No, you give it to the bacher. You're going out here, take the handle, It's the door handle on the bacher here and whatever. So you're allowed on Shabbos. So let's go in order. If the door handle falls off on Shabbos, it's like a mazel, it's like a geisa shel mazel was the best, yeah. The door handle falls off on Shabbos for the first time. Right? Shabbos Kodesh, you come in and you say good Shabbos, and boom, the door handle's in your hand. Okay, so first and foremost, this is muksa. Okay, you have to remember all the basics, right? That's muksa because it's the first time. So therefore, it's oimid to be it's oimid to be used attached, and therefore it's in your hand. Okay, maybe if it's in your hand, so when muksa is in your hand and you don't want to lose it or something, okay, so maybe there's a heter, even though this is evil muksa. As muksa machas gufa, you're supposed to just put it down right away. If you're not worried about the handle, drop it right away. Okay, if you're worried, it can crack. I don't know, like that. So then in a maybe you're supposed to take this handle and put it down, but that handle's muksa, number one. Number two, now you have the handle, to take that handle and to put it on Shabbos. I have two isurim. One of them is what we're learning right now, which is, even though I'm going to put it on and it's going to stay, you can get on there and whatever, but it's not tight. It's certainly not tight, right? It came out. It's obviously not going to be tight. So that's a for sure, yesh binyan bekarka. Yesh binyan bekarka, just a moment. Yesh binyan bekarka. Even when something's not tight, and this is what the Pri Megadim says, even when something's not tight, the chibur between the door and its handle might not be tight, but yesh binyan bekarka. Okay, now, is that a deraisa? You could dan, it's probably not deraisa because the derech of this binyan is to be doing it with cement or with nails, etc., etc. But al kapanim, it's still going to be nechshav a binyan. Still, the Pri Megadim, this is a case where this is a roughly, that even though, we'll see in a moment, we have a bigger problem with this roughly, but it doesn't matter. We have already roughly, even the Chazon Ish is going to be able to say this is aser. Now we have another reason why this is aser. It's also a roughly to a tekiah. It's certainly the derech to go and to put it in with nails, etc., etc. So it's a roughly to a tekiah. So this is why l'chayra, if it falls out for the first time on Shabbos, it's muksa. To put it back on Shabbos for the first time is l'chayra boine. Is it deraisa or not? Yesh ladin. It's probably not deraisa, but it's probably a binyan garua because it's not something that is normal to do without nails. But it's certainly aser either because yesh binyan bekarka or because it's a boine that'll come lidei tekiah. That's a handle on Shabbos that fell off on Shabbos. What do you want to ask? Sorry. Even though. Again, so now there's two types. When you take the handle, sometimes you take the handle and the mamish falls right off. It doesn't go in at all. That sometimes just goes in, falls off, mamish right away. You have to hold it. It's about to fall off. I don't know what that is. And if the first time it's anyways muksa, I don't even know if that's roughly though. Maybe that's not called roughly even. I don't know what that is. It's something that you put on, it just falls right off. But sometimes the way it works in a door handle is you put it there and something has that big stick that comes out. You put it in and it stays. It's just not going to have an arichas yamin. It stays. Sorry? Come again? Correct. And that's why the normal derech is to use nails, cement, or whatever, and therefore it's not going to be a deraisa. Come again? No, again. Let's go on again. You just learned yesh binyan bekarka. What does yesh binyan bekarka mean? It means wherever you can have a roughly chibur and it has a toyelis. The Pri Megadim says once you have a roughly chibur and a toyelis, so that's already going to be in the gather. That's something that in its matzav over here is going to self-destruct. So for example, you have, let's say, what was the examples we gave? Let's say, what? A tanner is, well, that doesn't destroy on its own, all right? But here's something that mitzad itself, we would want it to stay like this lo'ilam vad, and we want to use it in this matzav. So you're building it in a way where it's not a chosh of a chibur. It's not a chosh of a chibur. But vinishvi, it's anyways asa kafi what you learned because it's roughly atu tekeya. No matter what, it's roughly tekeya. That's if it happens on the first time. What? So l'chayra roughly atu tekeya is a shtickle shaila because you could say that, let's say I don't have the screws. So I'm not an omen and how am I going to get it back together? So we don't have to be chayshish that you're going to be doing something that you're not capable of, right? But anyways, so on the first time, no matter what, it's going to be a problem because it's muksa, okay? Where it's more negeya is like a second time. What do I mean like this? Again, if it happens the first time, it happens on Shabbos, it's not negeya. The thing is muksa and it's game over. There's nothing you can do about this, okay? And you do have to be chayshish, probably it's roughly at the tekeya, and you probably have to be chayshish, it's a roughly, and it's a binyan bekarka, and that's that. What happens though, if this happened already before Shabbos, and now I use it like this? Now, there's different levels of this. There's sometimes that you mamish use it as a handle and that's it. You're just not fixing it and that's how you get in. I gotta have in my house one like that. That's just not happening, and you use it like that and that's how you go in. So now let's down. Is this muksa? Is it muksa b'chal? What? It's like it's something you were miyachid it to be able to open the door, and you use it all the time to open up the door, even though you didn't do a maisa to it. But I use it all the time, right? And I did something that I bedafka use it all the time. And l'chayra mitzad muksa, it's not muksa. What about mitzad boina? What's that boina? So let's see. Mitzad rafu yatu tikeya. So the place can say that once you actually used it like this, so now you show us that you're not interested and you're not sehitz, then you're going to come to be tikeya. So I don't have to worry that he's actually going to be tikeya. Because you see, he uses it without being tikeya. Elamai, what about what I said? But wait, it's rafi. And rafi b'karka is a problem, right? Well, but for that, it could be it helps taka. And this is a shtickle shayla. But for that, it could be that it helps that if I'm putting it in and taking it out immediately, so then maybe we don't see it at all as a chibur. If I'm putting it in b'das, then I'm going to take it out, and that's the normal usage of it. The normal usage is to put it in and to take it out. But that sounds like a chiddush, right? The way, does it sound like a chiddush or no? Sounds like a chiddush? Yeah? What? So maybe like it should be like a binyan l'shah, right? But so if you have something that you always use as a key, right? So then, but again, on a deraisa, you certainly couldn't say such a svara, but maybe not derabanan, right? And what would be the svara? Because like I said before, when you have something that itself, the tzura of it is it belongs here as a part of the karka. So then we can understand that that's a rough way. You leave it there, etc. Maisa, when I asked Rabbi Yasher this question, Rabbi Yasher was mekel. Rabbi Yasher said if you used it like this before Shabbos, it's mutter. It turns it into a key and it's mutter. Now, I tell you an interesting thing. I saw today brought down in Kaplan. He has in that sefer in the back, which I told you can't really get today. He says in the, where is this? In the 61st Ta'ara, he says he asked this question to Shmir Shabbos Kehilchasa, and he told them if you used it like this for 30 days, then it becomes mutter. I didn't even begin to know where 30 days comes from. The concept of 30 days in halacha, we found the opposite 30 days. We've had the concept that if you don't use something for 30 days, then maybe it's considered to have to use something for 30 days straight. Of 30 days is when you say the same time bracha. So then we know you have a chazaka, but I don't know what would 30 days be? No, manashach, either you could argue on this in constant, or you could just say it's mutter after one time, or maybe 3 times I could have been seifel. But what's 30 days? I do not know. I got heard from Rabbi Yasher. Now I guess it's a chiddush. You should know Rabbi Yasher is a chiddush. But 30 days, I totally don't understand. The chiddush is that the ma'isa, I'm putting it in the wall and it could stay. I understood from Rabbi Yasher, if you have to put it in and you have to take it out. You have to be putting it in with the das that you're taking it out. Sorry? A key, they have these types of keys. They're called something. What are they called? And they just always remain there always, right? By the bathroom, whatever. So, but the word of a key, I think, is something like a picture on the wall. No one sees the key. Again, you'll leave it there when you'll get a Misha Berach otherwise, right? But you leave it there when you leave the dira. But it's considered it's not considered a part of the door. Nobody considers it to be a part of the door. You can hear a difference. The handle is something that the tzura of it is a part of the door. Agapanim, Rabbi Yasher is mekel. The shaila is not more than a drabanan, anyways. And therefore, if certainly it could be mekel. That's what comes out. Now, okay, let me get weiter. Okay. Rabbi Spira, this is negate your toilet, no? No, not with the frogs, with the toilet seat. Didn't you? So let's see, to feed this, what happens if you come to a shul? It's usually not in your own house, right? But you come to a shul, Slanim, that's how it was. And the toilet seat was, but nobody would go into that stall b'chal anyways. It was very fair. No, but so let's say you come into a place and fragnish, and there's no seat on the toilet, but it's there, right? It's like in the next stall, you knock and whatever, you send it over, and he sends it underneath. You know what I'm talking about, that type of matzah, right? So now, are you allowed to take that and put it on you usually lose your cheshek, but sometimes you're walking and the little child has to they have different tasagas than we have, and whatever. So you want to take this thing, you put it onto the toilet. You put it on the toilet on Shabbos. Let's see, it's attached to the karka. It's not a kisui, right? It's not a kisui. What? Sorry? No, but I'm saying it's supposed to be screwed on, right? So let's see, what's the chibur? I don't think that's anything. It's not roughly. It's not on at all. It's not on. It just, like slides right off. It could be even dangerous. But it's, and there's also no tekiah probably because I don't think anybody here is capable. I mean, you guys couldn't take apart Lego. I don't think you guys are capable of, so there's probably no rough way out to tekiah. You have to be an uman. What? It's a screw underneath. It's a simple thing. The seat, the toilet seat. What's a toilet seat? No, I'm talking about the toilet seat. The actual toilet seat. You're sitting there looking at their bowl, pregnant, right? That's an easy thing to do. Okay, so let's see it like this. If they used it like that before Shabbos already, which usually, this thing has been off since Abaye, since whatever. Right? So then the Kai Governor, you don't have a rough way out to Tekeya, and you probably don't have a box if it was miyucha to use like that. They were designated it as a seat, right? So again, if it happens on Shabbos, not a mazel, you know the matzv, the guy comes out, he says, oops, and then you see it's on the floor over there, whatever, So then that's the first, then it's muksa, and then we might have all the xeris, and then it's a problem. But if it was done before, and this is how you use it, so then you were miyachid it as a seat, you were miyachid it like this, so it's going to be okay. What? Sorry? What would you do if you're in the field? What's, what? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So what are you saying? But there's no chibur when you put it on. It's not even roughly. I don't think it's even roughly. What? I don't think it's even roughly. What is it? I don't even know what that is. What? I don't even think it's roughly. I think it's just like what? I don't think it's like a brick. A brick you put into its place. It like sits in the ground. It has a place it sits. What? No, it doesn't really. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Now, the Maisa. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see. Let's start playing a little bit here. Let's see. Okay, actually, it's one more sugya. No, we need to do one more sugya. There's one more shaila. So comes again the Taz and the Magen Avram. Yeah, there was one more shaila. Sorry, they're very important. Very important. Then tomorrow we can do most of the shailas. But there's one more very important sugya. Comes again the Taz and the Magen Avram, and they have a new shaila. Their shaila is this bottle right here. The bottle cap has already been made. That's not the question of making the bottle cap. So under shmuz, and when I look at this bottle cap, you have to know it could be this bottle cap. It's a good example of a bottle cap that Rosh Zalman himself would have been machmer on. It's flush with the plastic. Okay? When we get there, we'll talk about it in Shiur Dalet. But okay. Anyways, this bottle cap has been made. Am I allowed on Shabbos to open up a bottle? So you're thinking, what's the shaila? What's the shaila? To close the bottle and open the bottle, right? So let's see. So the Taz asked the kasha. The Taz says, why are you allowed on Shabbos to open up kisei kelim? Why are you allowed to open up bottles? The Taz asked the kasha, right? Derech Agav, this is where the Sha'ar Tziyun came from when he said that the Taz considers a sroif, a screw, to be d'Rabbanan. Why? Because when the Taz asked the question, the Taz says, why are you allowed to open up kelim on Shabbos? Hooray, when you unscrew the sroif, you should be you're doing a hiddik. When you're screwing it, you're doing a hiddik, right? And you're being seiser a hiddik. He stelled the question on hiddik. The Magen Avram, when he asked the question from Tekiah. So obviously, that's first of all the machlekes. That's how the Mishnah Berurah knew there was a machlekes between the Taz and the Magen Avram. What's the gedder of the strength of sroif? Is it a gedder of a tekiah or is it a gedder of that's time is one machlekes? But what's the answer? So it's interesting. You look at the Magen Avram, and you look at the Taz, and he says, "I'll tell you the answer. The answer is I'll read you the words. Ikar tashmishai al yedei piruk tmidi. The ikar usage of this item, this is not baina, that's what he answers. This is not baina, because the ikar usage of this item, the usage comes al yedei pirak tmidi. Well, what does that mean? Ikar tashmishay comes al yedei pirak tmidi. In other words, when I take, this microphone, I don't want to do it because, here. Right? When I do that, it's the ikar, right? The ikar usage of this is not pirak tmidi. The ikar usage of this is when it's screwed on the first time, or the second, whatever, the 20th time. But when it's screwed on, that's the ikar shimash. The ikar shimash of the bottle is what? Pirak tmidi. What does that mean? What? And therefore, what? What does it mean? What? So why is it not buying incisor? Why?
Doesn't have a zero, so BS1.
Because it's not going to stay. What does he mean?
Doesn't have a zero, then it's 1.
Is that what he's saying? He's saying the ikar usage. He doesn't say those words. Again, it could be the same as the Tana, but what's he saying? No, you'll see this very big nafkamina. Okay, we'll go weiter. He's saying something. We all agree, right? We'll see. You'll see the nafkaminas are tremendous. Slow. Comes again the Magen Avraham. He says different words. He says ein ois. He says words which are much easier to understand. Ein ois in lekiyim rak liftoyach the lizgor tamid. It's not made to last. It's made to open and close constantly. Okay, that's words I can understand, right? That's not boina. It's not meant to be there. That's like the tunner. The Rabbi Zinger's tunner. The Maisa, the Mishabru over here, he says, don't use too many brain cells to try to figure this out. He says they're saying the same thing. He writes, Mishabru brings, I in the Magen Avram, and Zivkat and Menhei. He asks the Kasha, Kosav Magen Avram, the Koisis Shalanu Asur Bechritz and Saviv, Kemoy the Sraif, the Kuliyam Azar, Kisu Kalim, caps, right? Caps. Afilu im asuyim kach, even though they're extremely tight, there's no question, this is extremely tight. Hasam ein asuya lekiyim, they're not made to last. Rak lepoischum v'lesagrin tamid. Who's that? Magen Avraham. V'kein kosav ataz. Okay, so don't use too many brain cells, right? Because Kanira, they're saying the same thing. Mishabura told us they're saying the same things. But we'll see. We have to hold our brain cells. We're going to need them in a moment. Okay, now comes again what's tamid? What's tamid? What does it mean? Now I know that something is tamid, then it's going to be mutter. If it's not tamid, it's not going to be mutter, okay? That's what's going on here. Sroif is for sure usher. It's either going to be hiddik, it's tekeya. But if I have a sroif that I do constantly, then it's going to be mutter. Okay, that's what we're trying to figure out here. What's called constant, Because if we're going to have a problem soon with maybe the bugaboos and all these achin or whatever, but is it constant? Maybe I have the heterim of kisuk kalim. Is it constant? So listen to a chazanish. Chazanish says these words. I wrote it down. See, in that same sif. Nun siftas. Inyan haklihu. Listen closely. The Inyan of the klihu liftoyach. Inyan haklihu lios pasuach. The Inyan of the kli is to be open. A bottle is supposed to be used open. What's the purpose of a bottle? To use it. The Indian of the bottle is to use it. When you don't use it, you close it. That means when I use it, I can't have a lid. That would stir the shimush. So he says, Hilkach ein akisi v'akli kechad. So therefore, this is not one. You can't say this is one. Because then I guess he means like that type of lashon. You wouldn't have a shimush. So I can't say this thing on this thing is one. Because when I take this lid and I put it on, I can't do the shimush. So that means I was mevatel the shimush. It's like we called it, it's broken, right? I broke it, so you can't say it's one. Elet shnei gishamim, we look at it as two separate shtikla cheftzes, hamishtatvim b'shimush, that are, doing something, but not two. It's not one thing. It's two things. There's the bottle, which I pour out of and I pour into and whatever. And then I have this other thing, which is closing it and not allowing for the shimush. But I see two things here. That's what he calls it. Machenkein. Okay, then he goes on. Machenkein is zerim chashmal. We'll see. Machenkein electricity and all the things he talks about. Okay, so according to the Chazon Ish, the way he understands this line, so what's the pshat in this? Because when I have this lid on the bottle, I'm going slow for a reason. Don't worry. Watch. When I have the bottle on the lid, so then it's not one thing. Because the adarabba, the shimush of a bottle is no longer usable when the lid is on. So then the bottle is here, and the bottle cap is a separate thing. Good? I said it right or no? I said it right? There? Okay, so let's see. No? So you're allowed to put on the lid of a salt shaker on Shabbos? You're allowed to put a salt shaker lid on Shabbos? Are you allowed to put a baby bottle? Are you allowed to put a baby bottle on? Here. Are you allowed to put a baby bottle on Shabbos? Yeah, throw that over here. What's going on with you? You must have played. Well, you were like the defense guys. What's this? It's a chamshi bottle. It's not a baby bottle, but this over here. So let's see. Let's read the Chazon Ish again. Inyan akli liyos pasuach l'shamish bai u'lechasoisai shaloi b'shas shimash. The Inyan of a kli is to be able to cover it and not use it when it's and to cover it when you're not in usage. Hilkach ein akisi v'akli kechad. Right? Is this two things?
Only if you can reuse it.
Why?
Only if you're going to reuse that.
This is one thing.
If it doesn't come in pots, it's going to
Why? I'm going to tell you. See, I tell you guys a secret. Many people they actually buy this bottle one time and then throw it out. Right? You know that? There are some people. No. And what about a salt shaker? The Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, he was a great guy. In the Mincha Shlomo in Aleph Yud Aleph, he says, I don't know a heter for a salt shaker or feed the Chazon Ish. I don't know. So he says, I don't know. Should I go from like, from 0 to 5,000? Should we? Okay, so this you're going to try to figure out. I don't know. Maybe they have like this. They have like these ketchup bottles. You know what I'm talking about? The awesome ones. The ones they have like the ketchup bottle. How do you get the ketchup out? You can sit there all day long squeezing and nothing's going to come out. So what do you have to do? Who knows the secret? What? So what you can do is two mahalchim. There's two different sheetas. One mahalch is you can twist it off, and there's a peel over there, and you can peel it off. There's one minig, right? There's a different minig. No, there's one minig, right? There's another mahalch is you can take he takes a toothpick. You can take like a fork. You can take some people skinny finger lach and whatever, and you can get in there inside the lach of a darton, and then you stab right through, and then for the rest of the time you never even have to open it. What? You never have to open it. Now, what happens after you finish ketchup? What do you do with the ketchup? Most people don't refill. I don't think so. I mean, I'm insulting here some people. What? Yeah, but what does your mother say? Well, this is that the restaurant is closed. All the lines, right? The restaurant is closed. I'm talking about the Heim soll nicht in Restaurant. Versteht? Also, like get the Hechscher and all get. Okay, so yeah, so the restaurant, no, in the Heim as kosher. Whatever. So the kids are the ketchup bottle. Let's see. The first time he comes on Shabbos at Besser Mensch, he says, I don't stab on Shabbos. And he says, wait, but what, are you allowed to peel it off? Well, Rabbi Kallus said last month that is a makami meko because it's soft on hard and it's also only heat sealed and I'm very hungry. So he decides on Shabbos, he's going to peel it off. So, but he's a Besser Mensch. He doesn't want to have ketchup flying in it. So he unscrews it, he peels it off, and then he screws it shut. Chayra, it's a deraisa. It's a dry. Well, I mean, it's a shiloh where a sreif is. If a sreif is deraisa or rabbanan, but let's go with the mahalach that a sreif is deraisa. I'm not getting involved now if sreif is deraisa or rabbanan, assuming sreif is deraisa. But what was the lumdis that matyred me to open up this bottle? So let's read all the shyness again. The Mishnah Berurah's lashon was, Ein asui l'kayim rak lepoischon u'l'sagren tamid. This thing is made to be lepoischon u'l'sagren tamid. But a ketchup bottle is definitely not made to be opened and closed tamid. Okay, and what about the lashon of the chazayin ish? Inyan akisui is liyos pasuach u'l'shamish bay. It's meant to be opened. The ketchup bottle is not meant to be opened. And the kasais, it's meant to close it only shaloi b'shas hashimish when I'm not using it. Hilkach, it's say two things that are not coming together. It's two things that are coming together, but not two things that are becoming one. The ketchup bottle, I think, is one thing. The ketchup bottle is one thing. No, the ketchup bottle is one thing. We asked this question to Rabbi Falk in the sukkah about 3 years ago. Falk said, Savada Aser. Remember? Heini, you remember? No. Right? It's before your time or no? You remember? Falk said, Avada Aser. I think we brought out a ketchup bottle. Right? There were balabatim. Remember, there were balabatim in the sukkah. There's some balabatim. Some of them are related to me, right? This was by them the biggest chiddush. Also with the toilayim. Okay, whatever. But this was the biggest. I couldn't believe it. Why is ketchup us? Imagine explaining this to a balabas. Right? Ketchup is usher on Shabbos. Moiridik. Right? I mean, if you would say that to a guy, he'd probably die. No, from the kedusha of such a statement, right? There's no way a guy could understand that. There's no way. Right? You should bring this to Azza and walk in there. They ketchup is usher on Shabbos. Right? They all die on the spot. Sorry. I understand if you stick a toothpick through the hole, so then we have to get involved in a very big sugya about making a hole. And neck of yafa, but maybe that piece of paper is not considered its own kli. That's a hard sugya. I don't want to talk about that now, right? That's probably better. That's probably a better shot. What? It's a shot of nekev. Nekev is a whole sin. We didn't learn. Nekev is very hard. Nekev is a whole sif and shiyudalad and sifa. It's very difficult. We'll get to nekev. Don't worry. If I say, you don't think I know what you guys are trying to get out of me with that new, I know what you people want. I know what you want with the cork that has the hole and you make it. Oh, you don't even know. Explain it. No, help me on it. No, what's it called? It has a name or no? The wine thing that, all right, we'll bring him here. Don't worry. Yeah, don't worry. I know what you want. You're not getting it now. It's not until after Shiur. Don't even think about it. Wait, Rabbi, what happened there? Oh my goodness. What happened over there? No, I'm sure he didn't start. No, he started. That's not true. Why did he say he started? I'll give you one thing to think about, even though we didn't do anything today. I'll give you one thing no, we did the Chazon Ish today. What are you talking about? We did a lot today. I'll give you one thing to think about, Rabbi Isai. I'll give you one thing to think about. Somebody, Israeli fellow, I got so much I know. Last Friday night, I was at a Shalom Zacher. Israelis is such a gewaltige bria. He tells me, harav. He has like a special bottle of wine that he takes out only for like, I can't, it's so bad what I'm about to say. He takes out a special bottle of wine that he takes out only for like, simchas and shalom zachars. And I was like, gewaldig, so exciting, whatever. And he takes out a bottle that has like a cap. Like a special cap. I'm married to Israeli. Right? It says like $9.99 on the bottom. It has a cap for a fancy bottle of who knows what, It's like, so he unscrews this bottle and he pours me. I'm looking at everybody in the Makula. This thing has been there since, since Herzl went off and whatever, But then I started thinking, wait a minute, there's a much bigger problem here. Forget the fact that it's taste nishkit. There's a much bigger problem. What's the problem? He's closed this bottle since the last Simcha. And he doesn't open it. What? He closes bottles since the last... Wait. Just 1 minute. Everyone be quiet. Order in the corner. What does it say over here? Hasam, ein asui in the kiyim. Rak lepoischon or the sogran tomid. You're true. The Chazon Ish probably we would have over here. Because what was the Chazon Ish's lashon? Chazon Ish said, I can't use the bottle, so that thing I don't see as becoming one with the bottle. Right? But the Brewer's lashon is something not like that, no? Hasam ein asui in the kiyim. Rak lepoischon or the sogran tomid. I don't know. What? I don't care. Who cares? Who says? Who's the conveyor? Who decides? Maybe the owner decides, like we find in Ilchas Muksa. Why not? Who says? What? Yeah. Who says? Who says I don't look at the gaver? Who says? How do you know? That's something to think about. So what do you have to think about? You have to think about the ketchup bottle. You have to think about the salt shaker. You have to think about the baby bottle. What else is there? No. There's no ketchup on that. I mean, that's a pshataka. Most people don't have ketchup on Shabbos. It's taka a good pshat. It's an interesting thing. No, taka, interesting thing. It's right. I always wondered that. What? You know why you don't have what? No, you don't have mustard on Shabbos either. He's right. You don't have mustard or ketchup. What? No, only the Sfardim. That's not true. No. Wait a minute. He's right. This is negay also the mustard. The mustard. No, this is very serious. Right? So get the mustard also. What? It's not to get Tommy's. Tommy's you just take off. No. Here. Marty, take your baby carrot. All right, well, we'll continue tomorrow, everybody say. I'm coming upstairs today, everybody say, so no. Wait, Rabbi Sai, bring all your props tomorrow. Bring tomorrow. Wait, Rabbi Sai, whoever has like a geschmacka baby thing or whatever, try to like kidnap it from the baby tomorrow or something. Any of these geschmacka zachen, Wait, 1 second. Which thing? No. Yeah, no. I'm afraid that it'll be taken.
Will it be taken?
No, I get nervous to the neighbor children. You know those guys that wait for just a bit too long?